Okay, you're aware of one thing and not the other because as a physical entity, the physical apparatus is set up so that it can only handle one line of reality at a time. That is to avoid confusion. There are times, there will be points that you get to where there are bleed overs and there are doorways that you can open at will. Okay? But what that takes is a tremendous amount of discipline and focus to be able to do it. That is, all of the things that we've talked about up until this point, all of the things that we've talked about really, really practicing, you have to practice in order for that to happen. I don't think that as I observe, I think that we are not as focused and disciplined as we need to be. There are certain very basic things that we have not taken seriously enough. Okay, and one of the things that we still tend to do is to jump into this or into the word line or into the thought we tend to jump in with all 4 feet and start behaving as if it is real stuff. See, you can't do that. And I'm just explaining to you how it is. You have to come. See, it takes a tremendous amount of control to open a door and to be able to sit and see several lines at the same time. It takes control beyond your wildest imagination. But yet it is a very simple thing. Okay? It's a very simple thing. It's why I caution you, it's things I say over and over and over and over and over again because we aren't doing those things. We aren't taking control of ourselves. This is what allows you to open those doors at will. Everything, as with your dream, continues on ad infinitum. And you constantly change realities moment by moment by moment by moment by moment. This is what appears to you to be movement. It's just changing realities. Now, if you're talking about a reality in a line whereby you become a painter, well, that painting is a form of the line of reality. The thing that is most important, and I can't say this enough, you are the issue. There is not a thing that exists outside of you that is practical to you, to what you want to know. You are like a radio. Now, the radio is what is important in terms of being a receiver. See, the radio is just the radio, and all the different channels come into the radio. You understand? So when you are you and not caught into all these various and sundry other things, you notice all the things that you receive, all the stations that you receive. You see? You are the receiver. You are important. You are that thing that is beyond all the thoughts, all the doubts, the questions, whatever. And that's, notice I said proper questions too. Proper questions that are related directly to what it is that you are. Okay, other questions are not really proper questions. I give you the secret to this thing. The secret is you. That's it. That is it. Now, everything else is just gravy. So it becomes recognizing and then focusing on you in opposition to what you think. See, once you know who you are, all questions are answered because you see them. They are not what you are, they are before you. They pass through you. You understand what I'm saying? So the key issue, I've tried to establish it in this manner. If you understand what you are not, you will see what you are. But you got to understand what you're not. That's why I've said you must understand the thought process. Not a thought, but the thought process. That is how you think. That mechanism. That's what must be understood. Now, you understand the thought mechanism by understanding a thought. But here's what we'll do. We will have a thought and then have another thought that's related that explains the question and think that we understand. No, you just understand the answer to the question. You just understand the thought as it relates to another thought. You don't understand the process of thinking because the question stays on this level. You have to drop, instead of going this way, you have to go this way, in depth, because the thoughts just sit on the surface. They're like debris floating on top of the ocean. You have to get down, 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 deep in there to where you get to the real nutrients and stuff that nourish the ocean. So it all will depend upon your question. You understand what I'm trying to say? I set it up this way. If you understand what you're not, because see, you can never understand what you are. You can only understand that you are. You can only just be here. That's it. You understand that you are this vastness, never ending, totally open-ended. All you know is stuff comes.
Is it like the more you see, or the more that you experience that you are and what you are, the more questions, the more there is to you? I don't know how to. It's like the experience. It's like walking into one of those things in Doctor Who. It looks small, but it's really big on the inside.
Yeah.
It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger the farther you go.
Yeah. It would appear that way, yes. But it would only appear that way because it's as big as it is, which is infinity. And you can't see, one of the things we start getting into is size. We're fascinated with size of stuff. That is irrelevant. When you see yourself, you realize It may be the size of a grain of sand. It may be the size of forever. You can't know. All you can do is know is all this stuff comes into it. That's all you can know. So it's infinity. So size of it is irrelevant. It's just that all this stuff is in it. Somebody had a yes. That's absolutely correct. That is why you can't take the bag. That's why you can't go deeper, because the baggage won't go. So you can never go deeper. You can elude yourself into thinking that you're going deeper, but the baggage won't fit. It won't go. So all you've done really is expanded your vocabulary. That's the truth. Going deep, see, the only way you can go that deep is you drop all of that, all of your history. And that simply means, dropping your history means dropping the importance of those things and just letting them be stuff. I mean, it's stuff. You'll think about it. It'll pass through every now and then. It's just meaningless stuff, like it has always been. The most difficult thing for us to do is to recognize or to admit that we're wrong. And one of the ways that I recognize that we do that is, first of all, I think back in my own past and know how I didn't want to do that. And I say now, don't do certain things. And we continue to do them. See, what that's saying is, I don't want to let go of my history. But it is your history. I mean, it is that thing that you have to let go of. It is, if you don't let go of that, that's the baggage that won't fit through the door. It won't fit through the door. It's like trying to walk through that door with a 10-foot 2x4 across your shoulders, you know? And you got two of them. You got one going this way and one going this way. No matter which way you turn, it won't fit. You can go through, but the 2x4s can't. Okay? So, we have too much invested in what we think we know. We have too much invested in it. The key is to that is we don't know anything. I see people doing stuff I haven't the foggiest idea what they're doing. I even talk to people and they say stuff to me. I haven't the foggiest idea of what they're talking about. I don't pretend to know what they're talking about. Basically, I don't care. Basically, I care what I'm talking about, and that I'm sure of what I am saying and what I mean. We can't know. You can ask me a question about why a person does a certain thing. The only answer I can really give you is somewhere in their conditioning there is a trigger which makes them respond the same way consistently. If they keep doing it over and over and over and over and over again, that's what I know. You ask me what? I have the foggiest idea. I probably could know. No, not I probably could know. I could know because I could get in there, but I don't care. It's not important to me. It's not important somebody else's screwed upness. It's not important to me. It should be important to them. You see what I'm saying? You don't know anything. And when I say that, one of the things that, one of the big mistakes we'll do is we'll look at a situation and say, well, I don't know. But we won't look at the stuff that goes on in here that comes up And we get angry about, and we get angry about it because we're so sure about it. Those are the things you've got to say. I don't know. Then you can look at them for what it is that they are, just habitual reactions. Now you know. But see, the thing is that you have to first not know so that you can know, so that then you don't care. It doesn't make any difference anymore. Once you know that these things are very superficial things, that's important. Everything has to go toward ourselves. Our reactions. I'm upset. Why am I upset? What's happening here? I can tell you very simply, you're upset because you're focused in something going on in your head. That's why you're upset. It has nothing to do with whatever or whomever, really. That's the way it is. That's the answer. Now we can drop down and instead of focusing on that superficial stuff, begin to focus on that space that is you. You know what it is. You don't have to think a word to be. If you pay attention, you know that you're there. That's all you can focus on. You understand what I'm saying? That's the process, to find out what it is that you're not, so you can let it go. And then just focus on what it is that you are. Now, asking the proper question. You'll come down beyond all that, and you might find a space of tremendous loneliness. Now you've got to ask the question. This doesn't feel good. Why? Because there's something attached to that doesn't have the words anymore, but a habitual energy flow action. Remember, I've talked about things in terms of words, in terms of energy. Once you unlock that energy, that tremendous loneliness becomes aloneness. And it's one of the things that we have to accept. It is one of the things that happen within the spirit for the spirit to even consider the possibility of physical reality. It wanted wanted to know what it was like to share experiences with other beings, and you can't do that in spirit. Well, one of the things we find out when we come here in flesh, you can't do that in flesh either. So the answer to the question is, it can't be done. Leave it alone. Let it go, you see. The answer is not, oh, it's not this, it's not that. Oh, God, what is it? It's telling you. The answer is, there is no answer. Accept it. This is the reality of being. Move on. What you have that is of true value and essence is your ability to create in the same way that you created this earth, the same way that you create your body, the same way that you create whatever it is that you create and bring to you. This is it. Now, what is it you want? What is it you want? In our creation up until this point, we've created things that we didn't really want, but we created those things out of ignorance by trying to fit square pegs into round holes. We deny, that is, when we're children, we learn to lie. We really learn to lie. Well, what it is, though, that we're only learning to lie to ourselves. All the adults see us. You can say, why did you do that? You watch a little child. He's trying to think this shit up. He doesn't think you see it. And you're looking right at it. It was the same thing with me. And the same thing with you. We convinced ourselves of certain things so that we could be heroes in our story. We didn't want to be wrong. We didn't want anybody always telling us. Even when we were like that, we didn't want anybody telling us. Well, in your effort to create the world in your image, what we did was screwed it up. That's why now you have to unscrew it up, and there's only one way to unscrew it up. All those gestalts that you set up within yourself, you have to now undo. And that requires a total and absolute honesty with oneself. An absolute honesty with oneself. It's just, then what you see is this whole thing. In the East, they call it a play. That's what it is. You're pretending. All this stuff that you're pretending about. You're just pretending. Because you set up all this stuff, all this pretend stuff. You wrote this script here somewhere. And then now trying to make it real. Well, life shows you it's not real because it keeps smacking you with it. And you keep getting upset with it. Because it keeps smacking you. It keeps saying, if it were real, you wouldn't be having this problem. If it were real, you wouldn't be having this problem. You understand? So the thing is to just, you come to relate to that space, to that observer, to that just watches, that sees the thought, that sees you reacting emotionally, that sees you making a jackass out of yourself. You relate to that, and then you stop yourself. What happens is that when you touch it, you are one with it. That's it. Now, right. Well, see, that's the key. What happens is, that's like you're attuned to that centered frequency. Then you open your eyes and you do this. You attune yourself to your mind again. That's why all this stuff about that I keep talking about mind and how you undo that is important, so that you're always doing this. No matter which direction you look at, you're always focused in that feeling. Because the moment you lose the focus in that feeling and come to the surface, then you're back in the surface stuff. So what you have to do, that's why meditation is a doorway, is the doorway, and that you keep going to that place. That's why it's important that you do this twice a day. The more you practice being there, the better you get at being there no matter what. That's the key. Because that has taken you beyond your mind. It's taken you on the edges of your essence. Now, when you go plop right in the middle of it by totally and absolutely letting go, you'll never come back. Believe me. I don't care how you tempt me and what you tempt me with. I'm not coming back. I'm sorry. Because I see this, and I'm in that. Or I am that. There's nothing you can say. You understand what I'm saying? No one can pull you back, because between the two of us, I know that, because that's where I was with you, and I know this. And between the two, I know which is best. No way. You see what I'm saying? I couldn't, because this is what's real, and this is what's superficial. It's about knowledge. So, well, one of the things, see, what you're touching is just kind of on the surface of it, what you've touched so far. Once you're totally in it, you see things differently than you do. See, here you're really on the surface of this crust. Then when you come down in here and you start feeling that, you're on the surface of the real thing. And once you come down into the essence of it, into the center of it, that changes. And you set up things to come into, because what is important is knowledge. What is most important in this whole entire being is knowledge. Because all there is to do is create. You see? So we can do both. We can live right here in this world, believe me, and exist in that thing. But only you will know it. Only you. Only you. One of the things that you think about now, you think others are going to know it. Well, see, you can only relate to others kind of superficially. The Japanese developed a language. It's a play language. It's for people who really understand. See, if you listen to me talk, you'd think I was really, really very weird. But what I'm doing is making fun of the whole thing. I'm making fun of the whole thing. To me, it's all a parody. And that's where we have to relate. Because the truth is, we're alone. You see? That's the truth. There's nothing you can do about that. All right. So, dogs fly. Or, I like really dumb jokes. I love dumb jokes. And there's a reason for it. The whole thing is dumb. All this stuff that we take so seriously is just as dumb as those jokes are. It's called having a sense of humor about life. I say really, so when doing it, if you understand that about me, you'll have a good time with me, because you'll laugh a lot. One of the things that's funny to me about it is I'll say stuff with an absolutely straight face. That's a part of the humor of it. That's a part of the absolute humor of it, because look at what people do. They do all this Donald Duck stuff with this straight face. Those who know you will enjoy you. Those who don't know you will think you're weird. You don't care anyway. But that's when you come to that point and you focus in on that. That's why I said a while ago, you have to understand that the amount of discipline to do and focus that we're talking about is so incredible in order to be able to focus totally and absolutely and relate only to that space. That's why it's important. That's why you can't afford these little safaris off into Never Never Land in your head. These little safaris off into, oh, poor me. I mean, that's truly sickening. To see somebody pretending that they aren't worth a damn. And I say pretending because I know it, I know better, and they know better. A very interesting thing yesterday, I suddenly decided to go and see my stepfather. So I did. Oh, God. I mean, these big old tears, man. Oh. And I looked at him. And I started talking to him. And I started telling him truths. I said, hey, I really don't care, man. Don't even get off into it. And if you look deep down in your heart, you don't care either. You did what you did, I did what I did, and I understand why you did what you did. And he looked at me. He said, you're right. So we started laughing and had a good time. Someone had called me. My sister had called me and said, I don't know. Says, I don't know if he's going to make it through the day. She had talked to him on the phone, and he was so... Well, we talked spirit to spirit. Just truth to truth. And he saw that it was funny to me, and he knew down in his heart that it was funny to him, but he felt guilty about it being funny to him. And when he saw, that I didn't care, he laughed until he cried. And when I left, he was better. Everything was okay. The point is, you have to get down in there, and you have to be focused enough to get down in there, and you have to be focused enough to accept and stay on the case. These techniques are not just something you just do, and one of the things we do technique like we take pills. Take the pill, oh, it's going to be all right. No! It requires W-O-R-K and requires T-H-O-U-G-H-T. Requires, working. You take it to put you in a position. You do the technique to put you in a position. Not to act like a pill and cure your ills. It doesn't do that. It won't do that. Yes, David. One of the things about being closed is that we allow in only a very small amount of stimuli. But when you become involved with the peripheral vision, you let in much more stimuli. And when you let in much more stimuli, you let in much more stimuli. Stuff happens. That was the thing that my first experience with was in playing football. When they said, you have to tackle the guy with the ball. And I said, well, which one is he? And they say, well, it's going to be a different one every time. So I had to figure out a way to see all of them at the same time. So I unfocused and went to this peripheral stuff. And this incredible stuff would happen. Truly incredible stuff. It was like there was always this noise, pow. And there always seemed to be this guy with the ball right under you with the pow. It was very, very strange, but that's what happens. What do? We walk down the street, we're so focused in whatever it is we're thinking, we don't pay attention. We don't see things. We don't see people. We don't see what's going on around us. Remember, I talked about using all of your senses. Then you begin to use all of your senses. And when you do that, all 5 senses become the one sense, which is the greater sense of things. And you begin to see things and know things, that people don't know. But that's by focusing on the larger point in opposition to the smaller point. The smaller point is we get in our heads and we get to talking stuff. We're talking about what we're going to do if somebody says something to us, if this happens, if that happens, if blah, blah, if blah, 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 blah. And the entire universe is knocking. Open the door, Richard. You don't even hear him knocking. You don't even hear it knocking. We're so absorbed into pettiness and smallness. We're so absorbed into opinions. One of the reasons that I've said to you, there is not one thing wrong in this entire universe. Everything is correct, but you don't believe me. No, not necessarily you as individuals, but as a group. I've heard people say, yeah, I know that you don't believe so-and-so, but, and I just look at them. Yeah, right. Then stay where you are. It's all right by me, if that's what you want. I know exactly what I'm talking about. Because what I'm talking about is across a line from this. And that's what I mean when I say you have to give it up. You have to give up what you think, because you think your experiences has been that this and this and this and this happened. See, you're here and you're at a deeper level of your being. One of the reasons you don't absolutely recognize it for what it is because you get into all this other crap, okay? But you're at that level where all of this stuff is being cultivated, being nurtured, and where new things, new ideas, new thoughts, new ways of being, new ways of looking at things are being stirred up. And then in the spring, it gets a little painful because it's like everything starts to break through the crust now. And so that hurts a little bit. But that's why focus is necessary. Focus on knowing that this is what's happening. Then in summer, boom, everything just explodes, and everything that you've done in the winter springs forward. But if you have done negative stuff, get into this and that and the other and blah, blah, that's what's going to explode forward in the summer. Because that's what you've been nurturing. You see? It's the seasons. These seasons and you are inextricably woven together. There's no escape. The same rhythm that is in the earth is within you. So you focus now and you do what you're doing, and boom, it comes out over here. But all these starts and stops, if you do that, now that's what's going to happen then. If you have to defend yourself, you have to be prepared to defend yourself to death. We don't think like that. Our attentions are about as long as, I don't know, that. Something hurts. Oh, technique. 20 minutes later, we're right back. Oh, technique. Oh, I don't know. You have to be willing to fight to the death. That means until something gives up. If we're going to fight, you better come with all your stuff, because we're going to be here for a while. All right? I'm not going to give up. With all these things, all these pains, all this stuff, you don't see me give up. Keep going, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. Every faith in the world that it's going to stop. And then something else goes. That's all right. It's going to stop. I didn't say when. All I know is if you keep going long enough, it stops. That's the attitude that you must have with this, and you must be focused in the technique, not in the thing itself, not in the foolishness, not in the I feel so bad, not in any of that. But you keep doing it, 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 keep doing it, you keep doing it, and one day it all stops. But if you can't hold your attention for more than an hour, see, sometimes you've got to hold your attention for weeks, for months. You got to keep going. You got to keep going. You don't deny anything that's happening. You keep looking, you keep looking, you keep watching it and keep going. You keep your attention on understanding it, and you will understand it. By and by, the light in the refrigerator will come on. If you open the door, the light will come on. All right? You see what I'm saying? But we don't have that kind of tenacity. We need to develop that kind of focus. That's why we need to practice. I listened to a guy yesterday, some basketball coach, and he's talking about, well, you can tell these kids that, and they get out on the court, and they forget everything you tell them, and they mess up. I'm saying, well, it's a simple thing. What is it you want them to do? Make them do it over and over and over until they can't do anything else. Then they'll do it right. That's in a basketball game. That's with young people. Now, you must be your own disciplinarian. You must be your own coach. You must decide, this is what I'm going to do, because I'm not going to be it. I'll come here and I'll do this, I'll talk to you, and I'll tell you da 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 da. But I'm not going to make you do it, because in your deciding and your consistent doing is also an incredible value. You've got some of the greatest athletes in the world. They can do some incredible things. But you talk to them about it, I don't know. just God-given talent. No, you work to refine it. You work, somebody just made you say, boy, look, this is what you're going to do. They realized that you weren't going to understand it, but they made you do it and made you do it and made you do it until you became good at what you do. You may be the greatest guard in the world, and as a human being, suck. Because nobody made you sit down and work at the rules of being a human being. They made you work at the rules of being a point guard. But every human being has to take the responsibility of that kind of discipline themselves to be able to see greater, to be able to see other things. That is why when you have certain ideas about your own shortcomings, it will kill you. That means you have not become disciplined enough to get down deep enough in there and take care of that problem. Because that's what the problem is, your belief in the shortcoming. Your belief in your own insecurity. Your belief in your own beauty or ugliness, and I throw beauty in there because your belief in anything is going to be totally screwed up. You say, but I believe in positive things. Well, that's screwed up. You can't believe in it. You have to be it. Because believing in it is still on that peripheral and has no effect on the reality. I saw on Channel 11 a show called Black and Blue with Ruth Brown out of New York. It's getting critics acclaim there. It's old blues and people doing the camel walk and black bottom and all that, and they show these dancers in this partitions, this male, female, male, female, male, female, on and on. And they hit it, bam, smile, bum, ba-dum, ba-dum, and they're dancing and everything is up and smiles, and the music stops. They come backstage and people were passing out. Those smiles were gone immediately. Boom. They were fanning them, pouring water on them. You okay? Yeah. And somebody's putting on their clothes and pushing them back out there. And smiling and dancing and go back and pass out again, you know. Focus. The minute that focus was broken, boom. You see them on stage and they look so happy. Giant smiles. And soon as they hit backstage, you think, my God. Yeah, what? I mean, it was like, just like that. Right. Focus. Discipline. The thing is that you're being disciplined toward is not a specific act. You're being disciplined toward the entirety of life. And that's what you must do. You have to decide to do that. It's not just a physical action. They were talking the 3-point shootout, NBA, whatever the thing is. These guys, they were discussing as people shot. The guy who won it, they said, watch, his hand comes to the same point every time. Guy from the Cleveland Cavaliers, I forget, Mark Price. Boom, 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 boom. Eyes fixed. Never take the eyes off, but know where the ball is with the peripheral, eyes on the target. Bam, bam. That takes practice. That takes discipline. In that meditation, you have to, the discipline is you have to sit and allow it to come. And when it comes, you allow it to come by stopping, focusing on this. You allow it to come, you accept it, you accept it, you accept it. Time after time after time after time after time. Finally, It is accepted. And you're in the same place all the time. He's practicing for a moment, a minute, bam, 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 a minute. Because I think you get so many shots in a minute. You're practicing for a minute, except it's a huge minute. It's called forever. As long as you don't break focus. It's an interesting thing. You could look at their eyes. And when they broke focus, you could see it in the eyes. When they are in focus, those eyes don't waver. When they're out of focus, the eyes move. In focus, bam, 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 because the mind isn't moving. Biomechanically, he can be a jerk and do that. But what we're talking about is the whole person, so you can't be a jerk and do it. You've got to come to the practice. That's why that practice is important. That's why you cannot at any moment drift. What you're looking for is a needle in a haystack. A needle in a haystack. That's what you're looking for. Every time you take a break, you're blowing it. You are blowing it. Every time you allow your mind to run away with whatever, every time you allow yourself to try and make yourself seem whatever, you've blown it. It is being like dust or like dirt. Dirt. Who wants to be like dirt? See, that's a stupid opinion. It is the essence of your being. Is the thing that everything walks upon, and it grows every bit of food that you eat. It releases oxygen. It provides you with a place to be. So, in its lowly status, it is the most important thing that you have. I once heard a statement that Bhagwan made about Sheila. And everybody thought it was so bad. He said, Sheila is my dog. Your dog? Well, only in the mind of an imbecile is a dog of low status. But when all life is respected, a dog is a very noble creature. He said, yes. As soon as something that doesn't smell right comes around, she barks. She lets you know. You see, so our opinions, it doesn't say anything about the person who spoke. It says something about you. So it's all those kinds of things that we have to look at. That we must look at. You can't take breaks. Break to what? Break to the reality that you say you want nothing to do with. And that's what it is. Just coming right back to where you say, oh, this is a bad place to be. Oh, okay, but I want to be here. Well, can't have it both ways, guy.
The last lecture, easier today.
Yeah.
It's up there, but it's
Yeah.
not easy
You're practicing one thing or the other. It's as simple as that. You're practicing being focused and sharp, or you're practicing wandering all over the place. It's as simple as that. One of the things I love about sports, in particular football, when your mind wanders, somebody will get your attention. They'll get your attention quick. Boom! A truck will run over you, you know. Life is the same way, except sometimes when the truck hits us in life, we don't get up. Or we get up maimed and crippled. But life doesn't care. That's not its job. It's your job to pay attention. It brings those things to us that make us focus and that make us look, because we have practiced for so long our minds wandering. I say about relationships, look, this life is not about relationships. Not in the sense that you think. That is, oh, I've got to have a woman, I got to have a man, I got to have friends, I got to have... I'm sorry. It's not. It's about that attitude that says you got to have. Clear that up. You got to have a friend? Then you be your own best friend. Everything else will fall in place. And you stop making stupid demands on other people. See, you have your life. You have yours, you have yours, you. We all have our lives, and we all set up as individuals, not as couples, not as a group. No. We set problems as individuals to be understood. And when we go to understand them, we can only go alone. There can be people standing, say, well, yeah, I'll give you a little advice, this, that, and the other. Talk to them about it, yeah. But that's as far as it gets. The only way that we are going to stand unified is when we stand apart. You can't stand like that. Everything gets in your way. Everything gets in your way. It's like when you're young and you're so in love and you sleep all wound up together. You know you're uncomfortable as hell, but after a while y'all start getting further and further apart. Why? Because it's hot. It's too hot to be here. It was that way in the first place. You just put up with it trying to be nice, trying to be somebody you weren't in the first place. See? It's just the truth. All right? Trying to go back to the time with Mama. You're a separate entity now. You always were a separate entity. Your body just was not separate. And you got into that. That's what it's supposed to be. No, that's not what it's supposed to be. That's what it's supposed to be for that time. Not now. Not now. You're supposed to be growing apart. Not growing together, but growing apart. Standing on your own 2 feet, solving this that you've come into this world to solve. When I say standing on your own 2 feet, it just means focusing here, because that's the only way you can focus. Accepting that about each other. That way you got some space, your roots grow out, and you grow like that. And you can look over and say, yeah, And they'll say, yeah, okay, all right. Everything's cool. That's what we can have. The other we cannot have. So, there is no thing in here that is sacred. I love Sundays on cable because all the preachers. Wow, I wish I had satellite. I get preachers from all over the world, you know. It spoke all these languages so I can hear all the stupid stuff. Because they're all saying it and they're not doing it. See? They're talking it and they're not doing it. Because doing it takes work. Takes work. Everybody's got their Messiah. It's awful stupid. Everybody's got the Messiah. If everybody had their Messiah, it would be a lot better. But everybody's got the Messiah. And it comes only to your group. That's foolishness.
So this is the program. When he was guided what they were saying, and I was listening to what they were saying, and he was saying, I want all the demons to come down, and all the devils to come down.
Mm-hmm.
And he kept going on and on. And then he said, we want to worship you, our Lord. And I was listening to what he was saying. I was going, and everybody was just jumping around.
Mm-hmm.
And they were saying this. And I was going, I don't know if these guys really know what they're talking. They're out there jumping around. And I really don't know if they're really aware.
Basically, there are people who believe in nothing. Otherwise, they wouldn't be standing there saying that. You see?
Hear what they were saying.
And realize that it was ridiculous. Yeah. You see that all the time, but that's the whole point. We talk gibberish. We stand up and we talk gibberish. I watch the Catholics. It used to always fascinate me about what I wanted to know was how many people who were Catholics spoke Latin.
Not many.
And at that point in time, the masses were held in Latin. And I'm saying, well, what's the need of being? You don't understand what he's saying. What's going on? Then you get the guy where everybody's rolling around, speaking in tongues, jumping up and down. It looks just like any disco. Having a party. I used to love to go to, it was one of these churches, I forget now, when I was a kid. Because they used to put you in a blanket with a woman, and they'd roll around on the floor getting the Holy Spirit. I thought that was pretty cool, you know. Considering that I was this little prepubescent, horny little beast, you know. The point of it is if that we stop and thought and realize the only key issue is that I become religious, truly religious. There are too many religions for me to accept any religion. So we're talking about being able to look for answers. How are there too many religions for there to be one religion? Because if there were only one, there would be only one. So it's not about the religion. It's about you becoming religious. And you know within your own heart what that means. Within your own heart, that means being just, being loving. That's what it means. That's hard work. I mean, really being it. I don't mean trying to be it. I don't mean being the dancer who hits the stage, da 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 da, and then curtain comes down, bloom. No, no, no. That's not being it. That's pretending. That is writing the script and stepping into the actor's role. They all do. You listen to those generals, they really believe that. I love the movie Doctor Strangelove because they really do act like that. I worked for a general who was about this tall. I watched him stand up on a chair and punch another guy. And what was amazing to him is that the guy let him punch him. What I'm saying, he really believed the script. I'm a general. I'm big and I'm mean and I'm bad. Get out of here. Before somebody sneezes and blows you away, you know. They all believe the script. I watch now, and as I watch the Republican Party still believe the script. The point of the thing is, it has been the traditional ways in which we have done economics and have done business that have gotten us in the situation that we're in. We have refused to see that the rest of the world is changing. The way of doing business is different. Here comes a person who says, we got to do it differently, guys. Oh, well, blah, 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 and we think. But you're the guys who got us here. Don't you understand? It is not about party line. It's about the truth. It's about what's going to get us out of this. They don't realize that with the unification of Europe, and it is going to happen, they will have a market base of 350 million people. Their infrastructure is going to be strong. Where does that leave us? Oh, well, the Europeans are our friends. Right. When it comes down between me and thee, I think me. The point is, we don't want to give up the party line to look honestly with some things and stop saying it's a Democratic plan or a Republican plan. Those plans, truth doesn't know Democrat or Republican. It just knows if the tire runs off of your car, it doesn't know whether it's a Republican or a Democrat. The idea is to fix the car. That's what's important. That's what's important. It doesn't matter about all that stuff. That's what keeps you from fixing the car. It's a new day. You have to look. You have to question. Question it. Question. Question, proper question. Proper question. We want to solve the immediate problem, and we never look deeper than the immediate problem. Well, Sally Sue and I are having this real argument, so we want to solve the question of Sally Sue's opinion and my opinion. Well, we got to talk about it. No, what you have to do is look inside and resolve. And if you both look inside and resolve, there won't be any problem. There is no argument if you resolve. if you resolve. Man brought a young woman to me near the end of my time at Central. He says, I don't know what to do with her. She's 15 years old, and she's talking about running away and getting married tonight. See if you can talk to her. He brings her in. And I said, what do you want me to say to her? It doesn't matter what I say to you. You're going to do what you want to do. It doesn't matter that 10 years down the road you're going to find out, or 5 years down the road you're going to find out I was right. It doesn't matter. Go ahead. Get married. Saw her the next day in school. Did you get married? No. Because she thought about it. It was put in such a way that she could think about it. She had to come honest with herself. No, that's the same thing that every human being has to do. The issue was resolved. It was resolved because she went to another level and said, whoa. Not because I tried to convince her of my side. I didn't care whether she got married or not. Because either way it goes, she's got to pay the price. She will learn as a human being and grow as a human being or not as a human being. That's just the truth. I love you enough to let you do whatever you want to do. You just can't bring it here, that's all. You can take it wherever you want. Because it's about a human being making the decision to change, and that means practice certain things. Practice them until you see. If you don't practice until you see, you're not doing anything but saying, oh yeah, all that makes sense. But it makes sense only for you. That's why we're always saying, they did this to us, or they did this to me, or that person did this or that. When we're saying that, we're not looking. We are not looking. We're putting the responsibility someplace else. That's why all this stuff sounds so good. Oh yeah, that's right. They do this. No. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. I'm not talking to they. See, to me, you are they. So the point is, again, it has to be you. You must take control. You must be disciplined enough to do the exercise, ask the proper question, see a different answer, and everything will be okay. All right? Think on it. Meditate. Use your technique. I give you a senses technique. That senses technique can put you in touch with so much when you're out. You should be in the senses technique driving your car. So, well, I'll wait till I'm finished driving. Well, no, it's about looking, listening, smelling, tasting, feeling, all the things you need to drive your car. It's about being alive. It's about wherever you are, looking, listening, feeling. You see what I'm saying? So it's given to you so that no matter what you're doing, you can do it. Ask those questions. Practice. Enough for today. Thank you.